Welcome in to Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and on today's program, the top Texans storylines. I'm going to be breaking them all down. Did the Texans, did they make a massive mistake when it comes to the 2025 NFL Draft? Also, Daniel Jones, for our rival Indianapolis Colts, is he the QB1? Did he solidify himself as their guy? And are the Texans eyeing some cut candidates? I'll break down all these stories on today's program, but if you didn't know, I work for Chat Sports. Chat Sports is located in Dallas, Texas. My wife from Dallas as well. I'm taking her down to see the family because my little sister just told me that she's pregnant. I'm going to be an uncle, a funkle. So we're going down to Houston for this weekend, and I want to know, where do I need to take my wife? I've taken her to Ninfa's before. We all know one of the best Tex-Mex spots in H-Town. Let me know, where else do I need to take my wife in Houston to get some good eats? Let me know if you're living in the H-Town area, even the surrounding area. My brother lives in Kingwood, so I might spend some time in North Houston. My mom lives in South Houston, kind of going near Galveston. So we're all around. Let me know, where do we need to try this weekend? Give me some food recs down in the comments section. If you're new to the program, this is how we kind of break down storylines, some rumors on this show. I use my Toro heads meter. So if I give something 0 heads, fake news, it's not happening. 1 Toro head, small shred of truth. 2 Toro heads, think of it like 50-50. People are talking. 3 Toro heads, I think it's pretty likely. And if I give something 4 Toro heads, it's going down. H-Town, hold it down. So let's go into the first storyline on today's program. Did the Texans make a massive draft mistake in this year's NFL Draft? I'm going to give it only 1 Toro head. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the latest reports coming out of Kansas City are that Josh Simmons, their first-round pick, the left tackle from Ohio State, looking pretty good. He missed 10 games with a knee injury in 2024. And this was probably the name that I got the most after the Texans traded out of the first round. Everybody was saying, Josh Simmons was right there. Josh Simmons was available. Why did the Texans pass on Josh Simmons? And there's 3 reasons why they did, right? Like I just mentioned, major injury. He injured his patellar tendon in that 2024 season with the Buckeyes, made him miss the rest of the season. There was a lot of maturity questions around him as well. And then lastly, scheme fit. Did he fit with this new offense that Nick Caserio wants to implement and new offensive line coach Cole Popovich? Was he somebody who they thought fit well into their scheme? Obviously, they didn't think so because they passed on him and they traded out of round 1 in this year's draft. But Andy Reid having some glowing remarks around Josh Simmons so far in their offseason program. You can see his athletic ability. You can see his want to. He's got great attitude. He's approached everything the right way, plus a little bit extra. You could tell if you just want to look at his rehab, you can see that he's got a mindset that I'm going to get there. And a lot of draft experts viewed Simmons as, if he didn't have the injury, would be a surefire lock for the top half of this year's draft. A lot of people thought prior to the injury that he was the best tackle in this year's draft. His 2024 PFF grades, only 306 snaps, but all pretty good, right? Overall, 74.4, a pass blocking, which that's kind of his specialty, 82.0, and a run blocking grade of 68.7, 0 sacks allowed. And you even go back to 2023, right? 825 snaps, an okay PFF grade of 67.5, pass blocking 71.9, run blocking 65.8, 1 sack allowed, 8 penalties on the season for Josh Simmons in 2023, but obviously a little bit younger in that season. But I'm going to ask you this question right now, and I'll give you my answer after this YouTube ad break. Was it a mistake for the Texans to pass on Josh Simmons in this year's draft? Should they have just stayed at 25 and taken him? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me a yes, give me a no, give me your honest thoughts, right? Either way, if you're on either side of it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. If you get hit with the YouTube ad break here, all good. Scroll on down and give me your answer. It's easy right now to say that, you know, since it's looking like he's 100% healthy at camp, that the Texans made a massive mistake. But at the same time, I think they had a really good draft. And revisionist history, of course, you can look back at guys like, if Josh Simmons does well, you know, probably 20 some odd other teams are going to look at themselves and be like, wow, we could have drafted Josh Simmons, right? I bet a lot of people feel that way about Justin Jefferson after the Vikings took him in round 1. A lot of people feel that way about Lamar Jackson. He slipped all the way to the end of round 1. You never know with these guys. And at the same time, like I said, I still think the Texans had a really good draft. And it just means their young guys need to step up, namely Ariante Ursary, because this was the kind of key to it. The Texans traded out of round 1. They took Jaden Higgins with their first selection in round 2. And then they traded up to get Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota, who many view as maybe one of the I'm not going to say boomer bust guys, but somebody who can really turn some heads as a second-round pick, as somebody who could probably start on this Texans team. You look at his 2024 PFF grades, across the board, I think he is a more well-rounded offensive lineman than Josh Simmons, better in the run game, a good pass blocker as well, 1 sack allowed, 3 penalties on the year for the Golden Gophers, was a team captain for Minnesota, and right now in the Texans offensive line depth chart, I have him slotted in as the starting right tackle, but at some point he could easily take over for Cam Robinson and be that starting left tackle for this team. So did the Texans make a draft mistake by passing on Josh Simmons? I'm going to say no. I think, yes, if he turns out to be an all-pro left tackle, you could look back and be like, wow, left tackle was a huge need for the Texans after they traded away Laramie Tunsil. You also signed Cam Robinson, though, and I think Ariante Ursary, the mix of him and Blake Fisher as those young guys at the tackle spot, give you a lot of hope, and that's why I don't think it was that big of a mistake by the Houston Texans. Now, next story, Daniel Jones. Is he the Colts quarterback 1? I was really close to giving this one 4 Toro heads. I'm only going to give it 3 right now, but all indications are that Daniel Jones is kind of taking over this Colts quarterback battle, and looks like he has a leg up on Anthony Richardson already. And if you think, Anthony Richardson was, an early round pick, do we not remember guys like, Josh Rosen, who only spent 1 year with the Cardinals before they were like, yeah, we've seen enough, we're good. If teams don't think that you are progressing the way that you should, they're ready to cut ties. And I think the Colts are close to that with Anthony Richardson. This is from The Athletic on the Colts quarterback battle. Daniel Jones is QB1 for now. The Colts signed the ex-Giants Vikings quarterback in free agency to challenge Anthony Richardson for the QB1 title in Indy. And Jones has already taken a significant lead in what was supposed to be a wide-open quarterback competition. And the key word there is a significant lead. That's telling me that it's looking like Daniel Jones is their starter. It's looking like they saw what Daniel Jones has offered so far in camp, and they're like, yep, that's already leaps and bounds better than Anthony Richardson. And I don't think without a doubt Daniel Jones gives the Colts a better chance to win in 2025. Maybe for the future, if you're looking for somebody to be, your franchise guy, I don't think that's Daniel Jones. Maybe Anthony Richardson has a little bit more of an opportunity to develop into that guy. But this moment, right now, I think Daniel Jones is better. I truly do. And Anthony Richardson, obviously dealing with some shoulder injuries this offseason. That's kind of kept him out from minicamp participating in OTAs. Is he cooked? Is he somebody like a Josh Rosen-esque, a quarterback that was taken in round 1 that the team is just like, you know what? Let's just cut our ties while we still have it. We might as well just cut bait and be like, you know what? The Anthony Richardson experiment failed. Let's look into this next year's draft and look at quarterbacks, because the quarterback class coming out this next year, depending on whether or not Arch Manning enters the draft, even without him, I think you have a lot of really good prospects. Drew Aller from Penn State. You have Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. You have multiple guys coming in this next year. Lenore Sellers from South Carolina, who I think a lot of teams could be eyeing, especially if you're in the situation that the Indianapolis Colts are, where you're kind of half in, half out on Anthony Richardson. That's why I think Daniel Jones will ultimately be the starter. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of flip-flop throughout the year between Richardson and Daniel Jones, but if I had to put my money on it right now, I would say week 1, you'll see Daniel Jones out there as a starter for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, coming up, top NFL cut candidates. Bleacher Report put out 5 guys who all teams should be looking at when it comes down to roster cut down day. I'll tell you those 5 guys, and who the Texans might be interested. Might surprise you, the name that I'm going to throw out there. But before we do, hey, 4th of July is right around the corner. If you need some cool USA gear, if you can't find that Old Navy t-shirt, I got you covered. If you go to chatsports.com/HoustonUSA, All these shirts available right now. You can get Texans American flag shirts. The polo's kind of rocking. You also have Houston Astros gear if you want this one. My personal favorite is this next one. If you show up to the barbecue with this, automatic aura. Automatic aura points right here. This one's my favorite out of the bunch. And then you also have the Houston Astros USA t-shirt. Also, Houston Rockets gear as well. Welcome to town, Kevin Durant. So if you want to check out all of this stuff, this link right here, chatsports.com/HoustonUSA, will be in the comment section and description of today's video. Make sure you use this link so Fanatics knows that we sent you over there. Just go check out all the cool stuff they have for your 4th of July festivities. You don't want to be out on the lake. You don't want to be out at the 4th of July barbecue and have some, just random crappy t-shirt. You want to look cool. And these shirts will help you do so. Go check it out in the comment section in the description of today's show. Last story on today's show. Texans, are they eyeing some cut candidates? I'm only going to give this one Toro head. Depending on who gets cut, yeah, for sure. They could look at adding another guy. And this Bleacher Report article that came out that listed 5 guys that the NFL teams need to look out for when it comes to roster cutdown day. There's some interesting names here, right? The New England Patriots with Kendrick Bourne, their wide receiver. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Jamel Dean, their cornerback. Running back Austin Eckler from the Washington Commanders. Taysom Hill, tight end quarterback from the New Orleans Saints. And Trey Pipkins III, offensive lineman from the Chargers. Let's start with the name that a lot of you have probably seen in multiple articles linked to Houston. That's Trey Pipkins III. Has kind of bounced around, mostly played right tackle for the Chargers, but also has bounced in to guard at some points, played a little bit of left tackle, but I'm going to put this as nicely as I can. Here's 50 different ways around the world to say no. Pick any of them, and that's how I feel about the Texans adding Trey Pipkins III. No, 9, none, now, niet, no, all of them. That's how I feel about the Texans adding Trey Pipkins III. I think it makes 0 sense. You're adding a young guy who struggled with the Los Angeles Chargers to what? Compete with Cam Robinson, who you signed, and then you have 2 young guys in Ariante Ursary, Blake Fisher, who you want them to prove themselves. Why add Trey Pipkins III into that mix? Somebody who I don't think is better than any of the guys that the Texans have on their roster right now. I'd rather the Texans find another option at guard and move Titus Howard out to tackle before they start a guy like Trey Pipkins III. I'm more intrigued by this name right here, Taysom Hill. If he's cut by the Saints, call me crazy. But I wouldn't mind the Texans signing him on a cheap deal. He is a Swiss Army knife, and Nick Caley's offense, I think he could have a lot of fun with a guy like Taysom Hill. He plays fullback. He plays quarterback. He plays tight end. He can help on special teams. He does it all. Last year, in only 8 games, pretty solid numbers. 39 carries, 278 yards, 23 receptions, 187 yards, and 6 total touchdowns for Taysom Hill. Like I said, call me crazy, but if he's cut from the Saints, I wouldn't mind the Texans taking a flyer on Hill. He's somebody who I think is electric and could come in certain packages and help out the Texans in short yardage situations. I wouldn't mind that whatsoever if the Texans looked at a guy like Taysom Hill if he was cut by the New Orleans Saints. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, continue the conversation, you can do so right now at Jeremy Chuggs. And as always, if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're bringing you Texans news and rumors all year long, even throughout the offseason. I'm bringing you Texans videos. So if you love the Houston Texans, if you want to be part of the best Texans community on YouTube, you're in the right spot. It's 100% free. All you got to do, go down there right now and hit that subscribe button.